Unit 10, Lesson 1, we're continuing writing equations of the circle. So before we were given our center and our radius. In this part we are given a graph of the circle, and so we need to find our center and our radius or radius squared so that we can substitute it into the equation. So first things first, let's find the center. Again, I'm drawing a line from the widest part of each circle. So there's our center, is -4, 1. So now we need to find our radius. So notice that this diameter doesn't hit on a nice cross on the graph, all right? So we want to find a nice point. Here's a nice point. And we're going to draw a radius, which is what we're looking for. And so remember, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem to find out how long that is, right? Here's my radius. We want to know how long that is. So radius squared equals, this is 2 boxes, 2 squared, plus this is 4 boxes, 4 squared. So radius squared equals 4 plus 16. So radius squared equals 20. If it asked me what the radius was, I would take the square root of both sides. However, in the form of our equation, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals radius squared, we just need the radius squared. So I don't need to go any further here, and I'm going to write my final answer. X plus 4 squared, again we take the opposite of the signs that we see in our center, so y minus 1 squared equals our radius squared, which is 20. Okay, so let's try that again. So again, I'm going to go to the widest point of my circle and draw a line to the opposite side, horizontally and vertically. Where those intersect, that's going to be my center. So our center here is -3, 1. Again, notice that the endpoints of my diameters are not nice points, so I'm going to pick a point that is nice on my circle, and I'm going to connect that point to the center, because that's the radius, and I'm going to solve for the radius. So radius squared equals, this is 1 squared, this is 1 box, so radius squared equals 1 plus 1, so our radius squared equals 2. And so, again, I don't need the radius. It didn't ask me to state the center and the radius. It asked me for the equation. So x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals the radius squared, which is 2. All right, so we're going to do that again with the next example. So again, I'm going to go to the widest point of my circle, drag it down to draw a diameter. Widest part of my circle horizontally, drag it to the other side. All right, where those intersect, that's my center. Because again, we need the center to write the equation, so that's -3, -3. Notice on this example that the endpoints of my diameter fall on a nice part of the graph. So I can count the distance between the center and one of those points, which is the radius. So here my radius is 3. And now we're going to substitute into our form. X plus 3 squared plus y plus 3 squared, again opposite signs of those center coordinates, equals the radius squared, which is 9. All right, so we're going to repeat the same steps for this question number 4. So I go to my diameter, connect the 2 points. Oops, that's terrible. Let's try that again. Okay, so again, the widest part of my circle, if that line was straight, which it is not, the center would be at 1, -1. Notice again that the widest part of the diameter, again, the endpoints of the diameter fall on a nice point on the graph. So again, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my radius is 6. And we're going to substitute into our form, taking the opposite signs of the center for each of the x's and the y's. And this will equal our radius squared, which is 36. Okay, we're going to do our last example here. So again, go to your widest part of your circle vertically, widest part of your circle horizontally. Where they intersect, that is your center, which would be 0, 3. Okay, again, notice that these endpoints here and here do not fall on nice parts of the graph, so we're going to pick a point that does. We're going to connect that to our center, that's our radius, and we know to find the length or distance between 2 points on the grid, we do Pythagorean theorem. So r squared will equal 2 squared plus 3 squared. R squared equals 4 plus 9. So r squared equals 13. Again, didn't ask me for the radius. If it did, I would take the square root of both sides. And so we substitute in. X minus 0 is going to be x squared plus y minus 3 squared equals the radius squared, which is 13.